Today on Red Dead Radio, we're live.
We're going straight to the world, yes. We're going straight to the world, yes.
Yeah, this was definitely a mistake. Thank you. You could have been doing absolutely anything else.
Like sleeping.
Like sleeping.
Mostly that.
Eating.
Yeah. Eating.
Yep.
What
More
else do we do?
sleeping.
I mean, drinking, but it's 11 a.m., so...
You
It's
could
never
do
stopped
that.
you
Just
before.
anything. No,
Mimosas exist.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah, brunch drinks?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But I do want to thank y'all for being here,
Seriously.
for giving up your morning and showing up. Before we do anything else, I want to get a shout out to our Patreon producers, Tom Bach, who's in the room. Tom Bach.
Thanks, Tom.
Stuart Ferguson and Jonathan, whose generous support keeps us going. Thanks to everybody
You looked
who
out like
supports
they were
this
here.
insanity on Patreon. You never know. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Red Dead Radio Live. I'm your host, Jared Petty. Alongside to my right, your left.
Hi, I'm John Ryan. I'm usually here.
I'm Brittney Brombacher.
And I'm Kristine Steimer. Hello.
So John Ryan from IGN, Brittney and Steimer, 2/3 of What's Good Games.
Yes.
Yeah.
So does that make you What's Good, Good Games, or What's Games? Because you're 2/3 of it.
We'll just be what's good.
I am far too hungover for this, Jared.
Okay.
I can put on a red wig. It's fine.
You would look exactly like her. It's
Yeah,
great.
of course.
One way or the other. So thank you for giving up your morning to be here. So we're here to talk about Red Dead Redemption 2. Who wants to play that? Anybody?
Yes.
Just
Well,
a few
despite
people.
what you may have heard, no, it's not here this morning. No, you're just stuck with us talking for a
Who's
while.
spreading those lies?
Well, I don't know. Some people were convinced yesterday at the Superman panel that I was going to have a Rocksteady debut trailer at the end.
What?
Wait, what?
That'd be rad.
Because that's how Rocksteady wants to show their game off at the end of one of my panels.
Hey, maybe they do. Dream big.
Dream big? I mean, it's a big old room. People came to it. Ladies and gentlemen, video games do not happen in a vacuum. What we're going to talk about today are the influences that come together to create a massive video game like Red Dead Redemption and its upcoming sequel. So we talk about the fact that all games do draw from both mechanical and thematic influences. When I talk about mechanical, people look at other games and go, how did they do that well? How could we do that better? Do you have a favorite mechanic in games, Kristine? Something you really love?
No.
She doesn't like a lot.
I don't know. That was very aggressive.
It was. Get ready for aggression. What about you, Brittney?
I think I like dialogue in games. The mechanic of being able to make decisions.
Branching dialogue,
Branching
for
dialogue, yeah.
A feature of upcoming Red Dead Redemption.
There
it
you
looks
go.
like.
You like how I did that? That's a good
Exciting.
little segue.
What about you, John? What do you love?
I really like to double jump.
You like
Ooh.
to double
It's
jump.
simple. It's a super simple thing, but if you can double jump well and it's satisfying, it's like the best feeling. And there are so many games that you can't do that in.
No, what's the worst is when you can't jump at all.
Well, yeah,
Yeah,
it's just
yeah.
like
And you're
there's
just
like
grounded.
a
You're like,
thigh-high rock and you just thump.
With the
into it.
exception of
Do it.
Bionic
Just
Commando.
lift your leg.
Yeah,
Just lift your leg. Pee on it. It's fine.
Please, I'm begging you.
Yeah, Captain Toad can't jump. Mega Man can't duck. Some things are strange
Well,
that way.
Toad has no legs. He's
Okay.
really just got a torso and feet.
Here's a question. So Link can't jump either, for the most part, in all the other games. But when he walks up to something, he can and jump that way. Now, would you consider that the ability to jump, or only be able to jump when it's convenient?
I think that's only choosing to jump when it's convenient. I think Link's just being mean to make us
So
angry.
he's not actually capable of jumping. It's
Just
just
re-
something. It's like an
He's
instinct.
capable of sort of jump climbing,
Okay.
but not.
Yeah, he can mantle, but he cannot jump.
Yes.
It's passive aggression on Link's part.
There.
Yeah.
I really think that's what it's all about.
I'm
He's
so
like,
angry.
you took my feather away from that one game. I'm never jumping again.
Yep.
That's exactly just sick
Yeah.
of saving Zelda. But also thematic influences, and that's the other end of it. And maybe no studio in our entire industry does more with thematic influences than Rockstar, particularly cinematic influences. I
Bless
mean,
you.
what's GTA 5 really? It's a mob movie
Yeah.
set in an open world. We fair with that?
It's just a
Sure.
bunch of heat.
Bunch of heat, whole
No,
lot of
it's-
heat.
It's heat, 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 and heat.
Exactly. Inspiration. And I like that about it. Western games, though, throughout video game history, and there have been Western video games about as long as there have been video games. The first Western-themed video game I was able to track goes back to 1971. So that people have been making Western-themed games about as long as this medium has existed. And they have been largely influenced by cinema. They've been informed by that. So Rockstar is particularly cinematically oriented, and Western video games are particularly cinematically oriented, and now they meet in Red Dead Redemption. It's kind of a perfect Storm.
No way.
So,
Okay.
yes way.
Awesome. That's
Exactly. Strange things are afoot at the Circle K.
You're gonna regret inviting me to this. I'm so sorry.
No! If this ends up just me babbling, I'm not funny nor quippy nor even particularly well informed, so I really need y'all
Lies.
here.
You know you're lying about that last one.
Yes.
Tell this man he's a liar.
Liar.
Ah,
You're wonderful.
Yes, placate my ego. You have fallen into my trap.
The real key is just to get it on tape. That was the whole point.
So factors influencing Red Dead's design. Kristine, of all of us here, you are maybe the person that spent, I don't know, you and John would probably have to fight out who spent the most time in the original Red Dead Redemption.
A lot, but
I 100% at the game.
I
Yeah.
did not, so
Okay.
you
so
win.
You win. Excellent.
And shame on
Kristine
me.
wins.
I'm the fucking guide writer here. Like, boo me.
I don't know why I did it, but I was just
I
like,
mean-
I would like more to do, and it's one of the things to do is kill a bear with a knife, and I was like, all right, let's go.
I could not do that. No, I chickened out every time.
It was scary, but I think the worst part was that the turning radius is so bad. So you're just doing weird half circles around this bear.
Yeah.
You're like, and then you just like,
It was really the precursor to Dark Souls.
yes,
There
yes.
it is.
That's basically
But without
what
the
I'm
ability
saying.
to roll out of the way.
Yeah, there's no
there-
dodge.
Actually, there is a roll. There
Yeah,
is a
but
roll.
I don't
in
know
Red
if you
Dead.
can roll with the knife. I don't think you can.
I
Does he,
was
like, roll
basically
on the
just
knife?
like doing very large parrying circles around him.
Yeah.
Around it, definitely.
And then
But you
stabbing
took
him
that
in the
bear
butt.
down.
I did.
Yeah, all right.
Huh. Can you do this in real life?
No. I think I would die.
Thank you. Thank you for
Last
indulging me.
summer, I was staying in a cabin on the Tennessee border, and I came around a corner and there was a bear. That
You're
was,
like, hey man, what's up?
yeah, the bear was very chill. He was like, it's exactly what it was like, hey man, what's up? He was about 8 feet away.
Oh shit.
And
Do you know what kind of bear it was?
big black bear.
Okay.
Oh, the animal bear.
Yeah, I mean, black bears are the little bears, so this bear was only probably like, 500 pounds.
Of course, yeah. Super
Very
I'm sure I'm
small bear.
exaggerating. He was but he was very chill. He's like,
I mean, if you
what's
see a
up?
bear in real life, like that's one of those like things where you're like, oh my god, they could kill me instantly.
What if he was
Yeah.
like, hey boo, let's go get us some picnic baskets? Would
Yeah.
you be like, what? How much drugs did I take last night?
So many. But
Actually,
they were all worth it.
instead, what he did was walk up the hill and climb in the back of a pickup truck and refuse to get out.
You did?
No,
How do you get a bear out of the back of a pickup truck that doesn't want to move?
that's crazy.
I think you're like, that's yours now.
That's yours.
This is Bearcast, ladies and gentlemen. So, but influenced by cinema, open world design, because open world games are very different to make than other kinds of games. Technology. When I say technology, the fact is that we live in a technology-oriented industry here in video games, and gradually everything's building on what came before. Kind of Ian Malcolm, they didn't even stop to know if they should or would or whatever. It builds on top of each other and etc.
That was the best Jeff
Whoa.
Wilson impression I've ever heard in my life.
The best or the worst?
The best.
I think it was the worst.
That's your judgment.
Make a line about the melty stick. Oh, what
Did
am I
you turn
doing?
your mic off?
Yeah, that's what I was trying to.
No, I did not turn.
Oh, there's little red lights on. Oh man.
Stand by for
Oh,
intermission.
we have a problem.
Technology sucks sometimes.
Oh.
break your mic.
All
Yeah, I
right.
thought she was gonna snap his off.
Does that work, Henry? Well,
Cool.
That doesn't affect the recording too bad. Thank you. Okay, in addition, budget, kind of a factor. Nice thing about Rockstar, they can take time to make a game. They do take time to make a game.
Yes.
They choose
Yeah.
to make time to make a game, and guess what? Their games are good and people buy them, so they keep taking time to make games.
Yeah.
What do you know?
And sometimes they don't bring them to PC.
No.
They're like, LOL.
I mean,
What is
eventually.
Master Race? We don't know.
Are you a PC person?
I'm an all things person. I have a PC, an Xbox, a PlayStation, and a
Yeah.
Switch.
Gizmondo?
What?
Gizmondo?
Yes.
Yeah?
It's what I play everything on.
All right.
I don't know what you're talking about.
It's an amazing device. We'll talk about Gizmondo on another podcast.
Okay.
Imagination, new ideas, original ideas. And then, of course, the state of the art. And what I mean by that is the influence of other games. Technically, design-wise, people do look at other games and what's
You're
been tried
back.
before.
You got 2 mics. Look at you.
Okay, wow. Could
From
anyone hear
outer
me that
space.
entire time?
Yes, you can project.
The
All
good
right.
news is
You are a projecting
You're good.
Yeah,
person.
you're
And
loud and the
project-
carries.
Projectile vomit. All right.
No.
excellent.
No.
Only
Sorry.
projectile word
I'm
vomit.
trying to avoid getting the PAX pox. Come on.
And finally, the question of what's fun.
Yeah.
Britt, what's fun about Red Dead Redemption?
For me, I think, because confession time, I cannot finish a Grand Theft Auto game, and I think it's because it's the city setting. I don't have that sense of being lost in a fantasy world. And being in a Western game like that, I feel like I could do anything and it's fun.
Yeah.
But Brittany, there are trees in the Western games. You don't
God
like
damn it,
trees
Steimer.
either.
So, okay, the ladies always give me crap because I always say Horizon Zero Dawn, beautiful game, too many trees. I live in Washington. I don't want to see trees. So I have to be immersed in the setting. And with Red Dead Redemption, it's that Western setting that I feel like I haven't seen enough in video games.
Why do you have to bring your anti-Ent propaganda here? That's what I don't understand this. Yes.
What? What?
It's
Ant?
fine. It's
Never
fine.
mind.
No, it's a
That
Lord of the
went
Rings
right
thing.
over
Read
our
a
heads.
book, people!
Lord of the
No.
Rings.
You know I don't know how to
What
read.
is happening?
I know, I'm telling you.
They're tree people. Is he
Oh.
saying
Oh.
you're prejudiced against tree people?
I didn't even go like Hjorns, not like second tier. I was like surface
come on,
level
no,
Peter
no.
When
Jackson.
you're
Funny,
saying
funny,
ant,
funny,
I'm
funny,
thinking
different
the fucking
podcast.
The
bug.
little critters, yeah. I
Yeah.
currently have an ant problem in my garage, and that's
And
where
I
my
was
mind
like,
went.
I don't know. Ants are like fine, I guess,
Oh,
but
whatever,
they
it's
could bother
fine.
you. And
Yeah,
then
they're a lot worse
eat
than the
your
East
food.
Coast, I feel.
I'm
we
so
talked
sorry,
about
Jay.
ants, trees, bears. Have we talked about Red Dead? Good Lord.
I mean, a little bit, kind of, maybe.
Just don't,
I
just don't
said I
ask us
liked
questions.
bear.
We've said it a bunch.
All right, so let's take a look for it. What we're going to do here for a little while is look at a few of the games. There have been a lot of Western games. We're going to look at a few that may have influenced the design approach of Red Dead. Things that took that movie background we talked about earlier and tried to translate it to video game format, sometimes with less success than others. We're starting here with the appropriately named Gun.Smoke or
Is that how you
Gunsmoke.
say it? Because I've been wondering all week.
No, you just say Gunsmoke.
Okay.
Huh.
So
I've
Jeremy,
said smoke to like 15 people.
video game writer Jeremy Parrish, dude who's way smarter than I did, pointed out that, or way smarter than I am, pointed out that Gunsmoke, an old Capcom game, actually has a lot of factors that ended up making it into Capcom / Rockstar's Red Dead Revolver. Remember that Revolver was a failed Capcom project that Rockstar took over, fixed, and made a really
So
good game.
I learned that during the research for this, and that blew me away. I
Yeah?
had zero idea. Like, did you guys know that?
No, I didn't.
Negative Ghost Rider.
Yeah.
That's like super
The more you know.
weird. Like the fact that Capcom is just like has this great idea, this cool notion, and they're like, nah. But then Rockstar's just like, you know what?
We liked it.
I could use another $1 billion franchise. Let me have it.
Yeah, I'm sure Capcom's. I mean, they're doing fine now. They got some good stuff going
right.
on. But they got that Resident Evil 2. They got that Devil May Cry 5. They got that Mega Man
Oh,
11.
They're doing fine.
They got some good stuff going
Monster
on.
Hunter,
right now.
they're good.
Oh,
Monster
that's right.
Hunter?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Monster
that's
Hunter
right.
single-handedly is just like, we're fine. We don't ever need to work again.
But way back in the day on the NES, they created this kind of weird little shooter. Hey, look, a wanted poster in a video game. What do you know? We're going to see that a lot. Wanted posters,
No.
bounty hunting. Again,
Making entire levels based off one piece of parchment?
exactly. and here we have the exciting action of Gunsmoke, where you walk down the street shooting lots of dudes.
I was like, those look like little ping pong balls.
So what
Right.
does this
It's for-
have to
it's for
do
family friendly.
with
Yeah.
Red Dead Revolver and Red Dead Redemption? Well, what Jeremy points out, and I think he's right, is that Capcom kind of has this weird tradition where they would take old ideas and then translate them into new things. For example, with Resident Evil, where they took this NES survival horror game that they'd made and then ended up creating Resident Evil out of that. You played this, right, Brett? You're grinning from
Oh,
ear
I
to
just
ear.
love Resident Evil. Anything about Resident Evil.
Anything
I'm
about
all
Resident Okay.
He said
So-
the thing. Yeah.
Have you ever played Resident Evil's like kind of NES Famicom predecessor before?
I have not. Mm-mm.
You laid a lot. You spent a lot of time laying like pieces of wood on the ground in the middle of all
This
this.
sounds nothing like Red Dead.
Yeah, it's very
I mean,
strange, but it still has. It has like the door opening effect. It's got a lot of the survival horror stuff. Yeah, it's a really neat game.
What does the wood on the floor do? I'm curious.
Get you across pits.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Oh.
get you across pits.
I was
Like-
gonna let it slide.
Of course.
No, man, I need to know. Like, if you're just like putting planks on
I
the
just
ground.
put wood
like,
on the floor all the time. You just leave it there.
But
Well, what else
Gunsmoke,
do
as
you
you,
Very
can,
good.
as you can see on the screen right now, hey, look, a store. You're upgrading your weapons. You're gathering bounties. You're
Who would
collecting
sell
money.
you a gun when you are just mowing down the
when you
entire
literally are
town?
killing an entire town's worth of people.
What? That shopkeeper just gives 0 fucks. She's like, "You're giving me money, sure."
Well, it's like I
fine.
think the idea is like the whole town is just populated by outlaws, but like what fucking shopkeeper stays in that town?
Yeah. Hey,
She's,
business is booming.
yeah, business.
I guess, yeah. I mean,
Business,
Capitalism.
business.
Capitalism.
Exactly.
there it is. It's capitalist propaganda is what this game is.
Wow.
So even in this weird little shooter, we have wanted posters and rewards. We have an economy. We have weapon upgrades based on historic Old West style weapons. Also a machine gun for some reason.
Yeah,
Why not?
We have horses that you get to eventually. We
Where are
have
the
final
horses?
boss
Show me the
battles.
horses. Did you capture
the
the
horses?
horses?
Come along. I don't forget to get to
Oh,
the
look,
horses.
horse.
tonight.
You can buy one.
Oh wait.
There is. You,
Look
Oh,
at
I
this
didn't have
horse.
enough-
Look at that timing.
you better have $20,000 for that
That's
horse.
a lot of money.
Yeah, that's a lot of money. But you're a bounty hunter, so
That's
you got
literally
it.
like millions of dollars.
All of these things eventually make their way into Red Dead Revolver. Now, is that a direct connection? Did Capcom look to its past? Nobody can prove that one or the other, but I think Jeremy raises an interesting point. We're going to look at a few other games here. Let's jump back in time to ye old 1975. So the game we're seeing here right now is not the 1975 copy of Western Gun. This is actually Gunfight, an Atari 2600 remake from 2001. It's a really good game, and it contains the only Atari 2600 unlicensed version of Johnny Cash's Ring of Fire I've ever heard in a video game.
Did you capture it, and can we play it here?
I did capture it. We can't play it here because I muted this in the presentation because I'm dumb.
No.
You're not dumb.
No,
Also because
stop
an
that.
Atari,
Lies.
also
You're
an
very
Atari
smart.
playing through a speaker goes. So,
That was a great impression.
yeah, thank
That was
you.
really
Can you
good.
just do that with like the whole song?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh God! All right.
Love
I'm
is
so sorry to
it
all
also
of you.
has Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, a couple other songs.
They just ripped off the entire
yeah.
soundtrack.
It's great. It's
You're
really
like, this
fun.
is legal. This is fine.
Oh
But
yeah,
okay.
it was the 70s. It didn't. Well, I guess it was the
Anything
early
goes.
2000s.
But we look at this game, and we got two guys shooting at each other, wagon running between them here. The main reason I brought this in is because 1975's Gunfight,
wagon.
as near as most folks can tell, is the first video game to feature person versus person combat.
Interesting.
And that, at least according to Wikipedia, my exhaustive
And
research.
Wikipedia doesn't lie.
Huh?
Right.
So Wikipedia doesn't lie. But
Yeah, but
No,
I
not
can't
at all.
find an earlier example. If it exists, I haven't seen it. When I say person to person, I mean action-based person-to-person combat. There's some stuff on like some of the old D&D mainframe computer stuff that arguably could fall into that. But I love this because the first hit shoots the guy's hat off, and the second hit kills him. That's how you have 2 hit points in the game. The first one, so you knock.
Exactly like Red Dead. That's exactly how
I
it works.
love that. Yeah, and this is a 2001 take on an earlier game. So
What
I
was the other one that was essentially this, but without the cool wagon mechanic? Was that
Outlaw, which is an
the
Atari.
original one?
Yeah, Outlaw, exactly. What do you-
With this chicken or egg on that?
This is the egg. This came later.
Okay.
First came Gunfight, the arcade game. Then came Outlaw,
Okay.
a bunch of other derivatives. People, like, if you look at the first few years of video game history, it's a lot of breakout clones, a lot of Pong clones, a lot,
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
tank clones. People just made the same game over and over and
Well, I
over.
like Outlaw because, like, when you shoot A, you get a really fun, like, wah, wah. Like, wait, is that the one that plays
Yeah,
every
yeah,
time
yeah,
you
yeah.
get shot?
Oh, yeah.
And then you also, instead of falling over, you just kind of, like, sit. It's just like, bleh. And you just sit down on the ground, and then you get back up, and you start again.
But
It's the best jank.
I
It's
guess
so good.
my question for you ladies is: have you ever played anything like this weird old? Did you ever have any of this laying around the house?
Oh no.
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 I mean, you're not as old as I am, obviously, and that's some of it. I actually played games like this. We considered this entertainment, but
These were the devil in our house.
these were the devil in your house?
Yeah, any game in which people got killed, old Mama
fair.
Ryan was super not about.
This game is too violent.
Yeah.
Clearly.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
No,
It's a realistic
It's
depiction
realistic
of violence.
depiction
Yeah,
of violence.
accurate.
Yeah.
No, my first console was a Super Nintendo, and then I went back to an NES, but that was as early as I went.
Okay, so this
Yeah.
is the earliest death match. What do you think? Does this hold up to Halo 5?
Totally.
Yeah.
100%.
Actually, to Halo 5,
This
this
is better
probably
than
does hold
Quake.
up,
Wait.
definitely. And then, of course, I mentioned the 1971 game. So,
Yay, Oregon Trail.
there was a yay there. Okay,
Well,
okay.
yeah, of course, it's the
You're
saving
fun as
grace.
weasels. Yes, I did that.
Good.
So,
It's the saving grace of like all 4th and 5th grade computer classes.
Oh,
like
yeah.
every single
Every-
class or computer in a classroom in the mid 90s had this game.
We got
on
a
it.
cowboy in here, ladies and gentlemen.
yeah,
Oh, hello.
Howdy, partner.
Howdy.
Howdy.
Yeah.
that's freaking right.
This man committed far more than any of us.
Yeah.
So, Steimer, you're like, yeah, Oregon Trail was that. Why were you excited?
I mean, the same reason as most people who grew up in my era was because, yeah, you get to go to computer class, and that's the game you got to play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
It's
Mario
very
teaches
exciting.
typing followed by the Oregon Trail
Yeah.
for 7 hours.
Oregon?
Did you say Oregon?
I'm sorry, Oregon.
No, I was just curious.
Yeah.
I'm not judging you.
I
I'm
am.
from Massachusetts. We say words weird.
Something I love doing in the Oregon Trail was,
Wow.
you know,
Wow.
and we just met for the first time. He loves me so much already. Whenever something would happen in the game,
Shade
you know,
is
there's
for lounging, not throwing.
there's that little text log where it, you know, has everything that happened in that game, and you can actually type in that. And so what my friend and I would do is we were big nerds, still are. So we made all the characters based off Dragon Ball Z and Final Fantasy IX characters.
Oh, rad.
And we would LARP in that text box. So like if someone would die, we would like write out a funeral scene or something like that. That's all we
Hell
did.
yes.
I love that.
It was so much fun.
This is the
really good.
happiest I've been in several days. Just hearing that story. How many of y'all played it? I'm curious.
Oh,
I mean, I would hope every
Ah.
hand in this room would go up. And if
Yeah.
your hand is down, please do yourself a favor and go play the Oregon Trail.
I've been plugging
Timmy
away to.
drown. We just saw that it was like all the
You
people
can
who
die of
died.
dysentery.
Well,
it's
that's-
amazing.
Okay,
I mean,
so
well, I don't know that dysentery is amazing, but
dysentery,
No, oh, God.
cholera, drowning. You can die a lot of different ways. And this is what I love about this game. Even more. Okay, so taking a second to, it's a resource management simulator. It's largely about taking care of your party, making sure you keep everybody alive, balancing the necessities of life, dealing with random things. It is in a weird way, while it's linear, very open world-ish because you never quite know what's going to jump up. But even more so, I am of the opinion, and I keep plugging away at a book to this effect, please buy it when I'm done, that the Oregon Trail is the most subversive video game ever made. This is a game about taking a room full of children in a school, and this game was designed with education in mind by MECC, and giving them, knowing they'd have one computer in their classroom, giving them the opportunity to put the names of their best friends in, to put the names of their teacher in, to put the names of people they hated in their classroom
Or Dragon
in.
Ball Z and Final Fantasy IX characters.
Or Dragon Ball Z,
What's
Final
really
Fantasy.
important.
Sit around a computer and then figure out the best ways to kill them, murder them, torture them, maim them, waste time hunting, gun down endangered species to their heart's content, and not carry the meat back to camp, but just let it sit there and rot. And then finally leave as many profanities as possible on their tombstone when they died, so that children, and these were saved on the disc, so that 3 years later, your under-budget school, the same kids are playing on the same Apple II or the same IBM, they come along, and the first thing they find is, here lies your mom.
No, Mom!
You know, that's what this game was built to do. And that is...
well, I don't know if that's what it was built to do. I don't
So
know if that's
I
like
do.
as intended.
Why would you give that to children?
Because you believe that the world is a better place.
You know, I have to say, I actually
Yeah.
tried to win that game. I never.
Yeah, I never like when I was younger, I was definitely not like, let's see how I can kill you all. It was more of like, let's try and get there
It was
together.
always- it was always
and then
who
they
could-
would die on the way, and you'd be like, ah!
Yeah. It was always who could get to
Child
that part where
cursing,
you have
whatever
to,
I
like,
said then. I don't know what I
float
said.
your wagon down the river and avoid all the rocks. That was
Yeah.
always the... Or that Oregon,
Trying to ford
was
the
that Oregon
river.
Trail 2?
That's Oregon Trail. Oh, there's
Okay.
so many of these. When I said the first game I was able to find that was Western was 1971, Oregon Trail has had so many versions, all of which are distinct from one another. The version you're seeing here is the 1990 version, which is a port of the 85 Apple version, but 1971 is the first Oregon Trail. It was so old that you played it without a monitor. You played it on a teletype. And it told you
It was
what was
strictly
happening,
text-based.
and you typed in commands.
That's awesome.
That's
But it's
rad.
the same
Cowboy Zork.
lineage. It's the same game making its way through all those versions.
That's crazy.
Yeah. They're still making versions of the Oregon Trail.
Yeah?
Freaking rad.
I wonder if there's romance in now, though.
So
I'm sure there has to be.
I do. Oh,
you find love
romance
with the
there
Oregon
should
Trail?
be. Can I
No.
romance a buffalo?
What?
Can you? Yes.
You know
Should
what?
you?
No.
Oh. Probably not.
No, you probably shouldn't.
I don't know. So you guys played to win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never won, but I tried.
Right. I played
Yeah,
to survive.
it's the game that you can't win.
Right.
Yeah.
What are y'all talking about? I carpenter all over this. I don't know what y'all talking
I mean,
about.
now when you're older, it's a little easier. But like when you're a kid, you're
Yeah.
like, how do I do anything? And
Why are
then
people
Everyone
dying?
dies, and you're like,
Yeah.
Goku, no.
My oxen keep drowning. It was super depressing.
Like I kept getting gunshot wounds when I would go hunting. I was like, what am I doing? How am
How
I
did you
doing
shoot
this?
yourself?
You know what was
Yeah,
so
exactly. I'm like, point it the other way. Point
You
it
know
at
what was
the animal.
so satisfying? The sound of the animal hitting the floor after you shot it. That sounds
Thunk.
terrible, but the sound it made, it was
Yeah.
like, I don't know, I was addicted to it. It was like, doink.
Yeah. It's that like.
So
Yeah.
what I do love
That
about
is
this
a
game
good
in
sound effect.
particular is related to Red Dead, though. So everything we're talking about here, but it was fundamentally, even though it's a historical game, it's actually really an economic simulator at heart. It's about dealing with unexpected situations in creative ways. It's about resource management. It's about hunting. It's about survival. And for me, at least, it was a murder simulator. And about creating your own fun, about emergent gameplay. And these are all things that feed into Red Dead. So when I talk about the state of the art, here's a 1985 example of something that's still fun today in a very different way.
Well, yeah. So what's interesting about the hunting part is like, Red Dead Redemption is much more like this. Well, you can just run around and kill everything, right? And then you just like use your knife and skin it on the ground.
Yeah.
And now it looks like in Red Dead 2 or Red Dead Redemption 2, it's different. Like you have to carry the thing back to camp.
Oh, it's
Uh-huh.
brutal.
So like
Hunting
now
in
it's
it is
going to be way.
But you brought up a good question earlier.
I did bring up. So I was like, okay, in all of the things that they've shown us so far, he's picking up the animal. He's like putting it on the back of the horse. So does this mean like you're not killing buffalo anymore? Like you can't lift that.
So it sounds to me like so when we saw it back in spring, like we kind of raised that question where it's like you can carry a deer because Arthur's super strong, I guess, because he can just deadlift one with one hand, which is horrifying.
You're not deadlifting a deer.
He does it.
No, that's not the right move.
Oh yeah.
Would you like to see me do a deadlift move?
Yes, honestly, I really truly would. No, can we get a deer carcass though? Okay. There it is. There it is.
Thanks for coming to the panel, ladies and gentlemen.
So here's the thing. The last time I went to a gym was 1999, maybe 2003.
This week on Red Dead
But-
Radio, Steimer does squats.
So he can squat a deer
There you go.
up
Squat,
onto his
lift a deer.
shoulder, carry it back.
Okay.
But for bigger animals, it sounds like you're essentially going to have to break that down to sort of its core component parts. So it's like with, say, a buffalo or a bear, you have to skin it, and then maybe you can take some of the meat in a satchel, but realistically, you're just going to have that big fucking bear pelt strapped to the back of a horse. And then the rest of it's just kind of going to sit there in the sun and rot for a while.
Just like in the Oregon Trail. Oregon Trail.
That's true. You got to leave the rest. All right, we got to move on to the next ones here. We're going to fly through these a little quicker because I'm terrible at time management.
It's fine.
Here we go. Sunset Riders. Who played this? I'm curious. Anybody out there play? Yeah, quite a few. Okay. Arcade. The version you're seeing here is actually the Sega Genesis version, but the arcade version was a 4-player shooter beat 'em up style. Like you got a team of 4 people. The standouts for this, a few of the Western conventions kind of make their way in. You jump on the back of a train. You're traveling through old Western vistas. You're running atop cows. Once again, you're hunting bounties, gathering gold. You also occasionally hop into a brothel for a power-up.
Nice.
That happens a lot. But there's some standout stuff. Yeah, there it is, right there.
Wait, what was the power up
Wait,
that he
what
just
did I
picked
just
up?
say?
He got faster shotgun shooting.
Oh,
That's an innuendo.
It's a little on the nose, but all right.
That was, yep. Yeah, but there are a few.
Look at this pink horse.
Yeah, that horse is awesome. It's a good-looking game.
Beautiful.
It's a good. Yeah, well, I mean, why not?
They're
throw
trying to
it?
bribe you to not murder
They're like,
them.
please go away.
Yeah.
But a few standouts for this game, not all of which made it into this video. One, like I said, the arcade version 4-player, the Genesis version 2-player. It's one of the early examples of a multiplayer Western
Yeah.
game, and people figuring out that what's more fun than cowboys? Lots of cowboys, teams of cowboys.
Cowboying together.
Or cowboying, cowgirling, cowpeopling together, which of
Cowfolksing.
course is Red Dead Online.
Yeah, of course. I mean, the first or Red Dead. I keep saying the first Red Dead, but it's like no, it's technically the second.
Just you know,
Red
we're
Dead
gonna
Redemption's online multiplayer. I mean, the way that sort of gave us. I mean, that was sort of the precursor to what we see today in GTA Online, where it's like you have this big open hub world, and like the idea of it is that you just kind of dive in either solo or with your friends and just start interacting with people. And you know, looking at it here, like when you see the ability to jump in with up to 3, usually just one other person. I think there's a lot less fucking around that you can do in this case. I'm sorry, futzing around.
No, profanity's okay.
Okay, great, cool. There's a lot less like sabotage of either your teammates or your potential enemies. But it's just like, I don't know, it's that notion of like just seeing it in action beforehand and the end, ...
Couple
trailing
other-
off.
couple
I had
of-
thoughts,
oh, go
and then
ahead.
no, I had a thought and then it disappeared.
That
And then I
happens
tried to
sometimes.
save it and it's just gone.
How boring are
Sorry,
we
I
at this
wasted
point?
your
We doing
time.
okay? Okay. The front's excited, the back's looking more vacant, so I'm a little worried.
We love you guys in the back.
Yeah. A couple other
love your
standouts
hair.
for this. Right here, the selection screen you're seeing. This is one of the first Western games where you can play as a non-white person, which
Hell
is
yeah.
imagine that there were non-white people in the West. Who knew? There were even some ladies there. I heard occasionally.
In the brothel.
No, yeah, we're
there-
just in the
we
brothel.
We just huddled in the brothel like this. We never saw the sunlight.
What is this?
No.
What is these?
You turn into a hermit when you're in a brothel for your
Yeah.
entire life.
There's
Like a mole
this.
person of some kind.
Yeah, it happens.
But one of the things I like about Red Dead is that you do see a vast variety of different human beings in the game, and Red Dead 2 looks like it's leaning even more into that.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with it, because the West was full. If you ever read Son of the Morning Star, just some really diverse characters in that part of the world. The frontier attracted people from every walk of life, particularly people who kind of couldn't make it out east. And that led to some colorful characters to just about every ilk. If you haven't read Son of the Morning Star, I really recommend it. We'd be remiss not to mention that in addition to having our one of the early non-white protagonists, Sunset Riders ridiculously, sadly racist around level 3 or so. So we'll just leave that behind. That didn't make it into the video.
I can.
No, wait. It's when we meet the Indians. When we reach the Native Americans, it gets a little
that's
bad.
usually going to go.
So we'll move
pretty
ahead.
wrong in most games before now.
Outlaws by LucasArts, 1997.
Woo!
Okay, John's excited about this.
I love this game.
Expound.
First off, I mean, it's sort of, you could look at it and say that it's a Wolfenstein or a Doom clone, and sure, it is.
Yeah.
Like, no bones about it.
And
It
you'd be
100%
right.
is. But they also do some really fun stuff. Like the cutscenes in it are those super weird. Who here's played LucasArts' Outlaws? Anybody? Yeah, cool.
Ah,
All right, all three of you,
people.
great. The cutscenes in that, if you guys have played it, know, like, if you've ever seen like the heavy metal movies, where they're just these weird vignettes with this crazy sort of frame-by-frame art style. I just really adore the art style. And the fact that this is one of the few video games that I can think of that actually has an opening credit sequence for the developers. Like, it is a fully scored sequence, like just like Once Upon a Time in the West or all of the Man with No Name trilogies. Like, they really went for it.
For that cinematic feel.
For the cinematic feel, exactly. And like, there's the really horrible inciting incident, which, we'll talk about women in fridges later, but it's the first time that I can remember seeing a Western in a non-TV or movie medium and following it from a story perspective and getting invested, which I think is what Red Dead does best.
The riverboat train sequence at the opening of Red Dead comes to mind immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah, when the way they choose to engage the credits there is storytelling. It's when it comes to Red Dead's cinematic treatment, I mean, the moments that pop up for me, Steimer, Britt, I always think about that opening, coming in on the steamboat, riding the train, overhearing the conversations, credits rolling, headed up to the fort, and I think about Mexico, of course,
Yeah.
which I think everybody does, and then the end, or the almost end, the penultimate scene. Of all those, which one stood out for you the most and why?
For me, it was the ending. Can I spoil this game?
Yes.
Yeah.
Has anybody
Okay.
not played the first Red Dead Redemption?
No, don't ask them.
Yeah, well-
Then we'll have an excuse.
Plug your ears.
Yeah, just do.
Yeah, no.
Somebody clap his ears.
I had never experienced character death like that in a video game before, and I was so attached to John Marston as a character.
Yeah.
I felt like he was trying to redeem himself, and he was cute in his own weird, gross way. And I was like,
In his unwashed
endearing.
way.
And
It's okay, no, it's
to
true,
see
yes.
that ending go down the way it did, I think that was the first video game that made me truly like bawl. I'm talking like mascara
Like
was
straight
running.
ugly cry.
Oh, ugly cry. And
Oh,
then
man.
the last game, the game that I can't talk. The next game that did that was Final Fantasy 15, and that was just a whole mess in itself, but we won't go there. Anyway, so for me, that ending just stood out. I remember it so distinctly. I was in my room. I was living with my parents at the time. Lights were off. I had a bag of popcorn next to me, and I was like, they're not doing this, are they? And they did, and it was just so crazy. And then I accidentally
remember,
spoiled it for
Did
someone.
you think that you could win it? Because I thought I could. I was like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
sure, they're
yes.
surrounding the barn, but like it's fine, and like I have dead eye, so it'll be okay. And then you're like,
And then when you
"It's not
realize you
okay."
can,
Yeah.
but you're so desperately trying
Oh,
still,
yeah.
it's just
Yeah,
like,
I'm like, no, maybe I just need to reload. Maybe I messed it up.
Just like reload that save like 4 or 5 times,
Yeah, you're
and
like,
it's
no,
still, you
I
can't
keep
do
screwing it up.
yeah. And it's like,
John just has a rough time. The crows eat all his corn, and then he gets gunned down. It's really bad.
It's not a great life.
It's not a great life.
No.
That was one of those, I really do love Western movies, and I was kind of raised on them from infancy. And so I saw the end of Red Dead coming a mile and a half away.
really?
I was like, this guy is so dead. I like him way too much. And,
That's true.
and that the way it went down, like having, it's just the end of Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. And it's done so well. And that's what, I don't know where the line between derivative and homage happens exactly, but Rockstar's really good at that, at finding that line and staying on the homage side, where
Yeah,
it
it's- I
feels
mean, it's-
original and fresh.
Yeah, especially in Red Dead itself, where you have moments that are just ripped straight out of some of the best westerns, like the Gatling gun bit that we talked about in Fort Mercer.
Yeah.
Is straight from
Outlaw Josie Wales.
And it's just like, it doesn't feel like that situation where you're you're mad at them for ripping something off. Like you're just like, oh, if you
You're like, oh, that's
recognize
cool.
it, yeah, exactly. Like, oh shit, this is an awesome gameplay moment. But also like if you do recognize the source, you're like, hell yeah.
Also, just a quick note on Outlaws. Not a lot of attempts at third or at first-person Western games. I don't know. You know, obviously they're building this around Dark Forces around the same time. Their Star Wars Doom game. I don't know if the people have just decided it's not well suited for that. If third person's better for the storytelling. If it has to do with reload times because reloading old guns is weird.
Yeah.
But nobody's really gone too deep back into this since then. I mean, there was that weird, like, I think History Channel shooter.
Well, there's like the Call of Juarez franchise.
Yeah.
Tried it. There were a couple of. Wasn't there a John Carpenter's game that was a Western?
Actually, I haven't played that. I don't know.
It was like you hunted vampires and they were cowboys or cowpokes and.
Are you sure you're not just
Cowboy
making?
vampires.
Is this a dream you had?
No, I might be
Beaver
confusing.
Victor Brand, he wears a
I
hat.
think I'm thinking of Clive Barker's Undying.
Okay.
I think that's the game that I'm thinking of. I forget whether that was first person or not, though. But I mean, Club Wars was interesting enough, but I feel like part of the Western experience is seeing your protagonist, you know, draw out their holster instead of just having a gun kind of pop up in your viewfinder. Like seeing you draw, seeing you slam the hammer back.
Fan the hammer, my friend.
There it is.
Fan
Thank
the
you.
hammer.
I'm just my terminology is just all.
You know what? I'll
I'm just
take it.
bad
I
at
don't know how to
this.
do anything. We're moving on to Gun. We got Gun.
We got Gun?
We got Gun. That's right. Who played Gun? When I ask people about Western video games, Gun's the one I hear about most. I think the entire world bought Gun. You bought Gun.
I did buy Gun. I bought Gun twice when it first came out, and again like a month ago.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow.
How'd that second time around go for you?
It didn't happen.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you
I
mean
would-
it didn't happen.
Because shamefully I ran out of time because I was going to try and play it on my way to Gamescom, and then I couldn't get it hooked up on
Sure.
the
That's
PC. It was
fair.
this whole thing. So.
Look at all
Either
those
y'all-
buffalo.
What's that?
I was
She was just looking at the
there were
buffalo.
I was looking at the buffalo.
She got distracted by the animals.
I was
Yeah,
like,
the- oh,
animals,
you-
look.
Oh, I can't wait to murder them all.
Animals are good for that. Well, animals are a big part of the West. I mean, animals are a big part of Red Dead. I mean,
Yes.
what did they feature in their very first Red Dead trailer? It's like, here's an animal, and here's an animal, and here's a little squirrel running
Here's
through the background.
woods.
And here's
There
that.
you go.
Why is that important to the storytelling?
Was it? Well, I mean, if there are no animals in it, you're like, this is a weird place.
What happened
It's
here?
like one of those dreams where it's like sort of real, but not, like there's something off the whole time, and you're not sure what it is.
Well, also,
Yeah.
it is the Wild West, right? And so, you know, you don't have these
You don't have the
days-
wild part.
Yeah, you don't have the wild part. These days, you don't have buffalo roaming down the streets of Seattle, you know. But back
That'd
then,
be
it was
great.
uncharted territory, and so I really think it's important for setting the mood of the.
It creates a
content.
feeling that feels a place that feels wild, that feels unexplored.
Cougar's
and,
gonna come and get you.
Oh man, this guy's
man.
really getting
Are we
messed up.
keeping our fingers crossed for a cougar cabin again in this one, where they just infinitely spawn
Just
forever?
like forever and ever. This is where
Please,
the
I just
cougars
want to
live.
fill a house with cougars,
That's
please and
nightmare
thank
material.
I want a cougar
Oh, so
catapult.
So it looks like Gun was the first super story-driven Western-ish game, because the ones that we've seen so far have been kind of side-scrollers, shoot 'ems, beat 'em ups. This is kind of like the first. I didn't play Gun.
It's definitely an early one.
Okay.
I mean,
As super, like when we say story-driven, like in-game cinematic moments.
Yeah.
This, along with actually the year before, Red Dead Revolver.
Yeah, I mean,
which
this
we're
is
going to talk about in a second.
Yeah, it's sort of like the Dante's Peak to the original Red Dead Revolver's Armageddon.
Okay.
Like, I mean, that's
Do you
always
consider
kind of
that a
how I felt.
favorite? Does an old grandma die in a lake full of acid?
Don't
Whoa.
remind me about that. And no.
Okay. Dante's Peak. If you haven't watched that in a while, wow.
Oh, I'm sorry. Deep Impact.
Yeah.
That was the one I was thinking
Well, I was going
of.
to say Dante's Peak to
Volcano.
Armageddon to Volcano. Yeah, I was a little
Dante's Peak
confused by that.
Volcano, Deep Impact Armageddon. You know what I was trying to say.
But yeah, Gun's a game where you're wandering around the West with, and at the beginning it's you and like angry Chris Christopherson, and you're shooting birds.
was that him in that?
I
Steve
don't know. He
Wozniak?
looks like him. He looks just
I
like
mean,
him.
I feel like he would do that for the money.
And then finally, of course, Red Dead Revolver. Rockstar's a really impressive Western game. It started as a Capcom project, as we talked about at the beginning, and really does lay. You've got a lot of the Red Dead formula there. You have cover systems. You have Deadeye. You have an arsenal of weapons that grows with you. That you've got the rifle on the back and the pistol on the side and the knife in the belt, and you're
Yeah.
switching between them. A lot of these aspects of the game are already coming into focus. You've got some multiplayer focus there, although it's local. It's an interesting thesis, and you can see how it read into a much more refined Red Dead Redemption when they were able to take over the project from the beginning on their own and make it truly a Rockstar game with more of an open world focus. Did you guys play this back in the day?
Played
No,
it for a
Red
little
Dead
bit,
Revolver.
but I couldn't get into it, which is so crazy, because then when I played Red Dead Redemption, I was like, oh my god, this is the best thing ever. But for some reason,
Well, Revolver doesn't have that open feel to it. Revolver just isn't as it's just not as immersive. It's all the themes, but they're not quite as articulately expressed.
I mean, it was back in the day when, we were a lot more limited in the scope of the experience that we could have by just the technology that was available. Like, it was that situation, like, they could make it look for the day as good as this does, or they could probably expand the world a little bit.
But not both. Yeah.
But not both.
Yeah, I'm running this one. I captured all my own footage for this. I'm running this one through a PS3 HDMI.
Yeah,
so
I'm gonna need
like
to
a
borrow
launch
the setup for this
PS3.
because I really want to play this
Oh,
again.
the launch. Oh, we're gonna do it. We're gonna
Great.
play. We're gonna do a Let's Play of that.
Yes.
Definitely.
Well, no, but not until we do Red Dead Online. You guys want to play Red Dead Online?
Yes.
Cool. Great.
I got
Perfect.
you.
We don't even need you anymore.
Yeah.
Fine,
You're off
do
the
that
show.
one.
I hate to spoil it for you, but Brittney is a liar and she'll never play with you.
Oh, Brittney.
Why would you listen to her?
Because I know you. When have we
Yeah, that's
ever
true.
played a game together?
Hey, listen, don't get me started, Steimer. I tried to play Sea of Thieves with you that one time.
Well, that's your mistake
Did you?
right there.
Okay, question. Has there ever been a Western RPG?
Yeah, there's West
Like
of
two-
Loathing recently. Actually.
Oh my
There's
god, of
currently
course.
Wild
I
West
love that game so
Online.
much. I'm talking like Final Fantasy-esque, but RPG.
I mean, there's a
Like old school.
Old
So,
school turn-based combat.
Wild Arms kind of feeds into that
Wild
theme.
Arms, yeah, that was a great one.
That kind of has that, especially that was.
Yeah.
I like that you're our little music machine today.
I know.
Right?
I always am. Yeah. When I was young,
Nope.
never needed
All
anyone.
right, that's our cue.
Yeah.
Cool.
And
Great.
now
Let's,
we
yeah, we
leave.
should probably.
So really quickly, we looked at all these themes. I have no idea if there's anything coherent happening here whatsoever at this point. I'm sure y'all are more aware than I am. We learned anything from this about what fed into Red Dead, or maybe more important, how Red Dead 2 could build on these themes of not an empty world, of third versus first person, of playing together, of character involvement, of role-playing elements. How's Red Dead going to build on that?
Oh, you do conveniently take that sip of water. I know exactly what you're doing right now.
It's gonna be a very
I know
long
exactly
drink, isn't it?
what you're doing. No. So I've only played Red Dead once because I feel like that was my playthrough, and it was such an impactful game that, to be completely honest, all the ins and outs, the specifics of it, I can't pull out of my butt right now. But what I am very interested to see in the second one is how we can shape Arthur Morgan to be the person we want him to be. I don't want him to be an asshole off the bat. I want him to be a nice, fair man. And
A nice fair outlaw.
nice, fair outlaw.
He's got a code, damn it.
It's gonna be great.
I only steal from who I want to steal from.
Yeah.
That's my code.
But I feel like that kind of is the nice thing about what we, at least, based on what we know, like you will kind of have that option, like, depending on what your choices are, like how you choose to interact with all of the, the pedestrians and the NPCs, like whether they're fellow gang members or lawmen or just like guys you meet on the
Or
road.
just like bros.
Yeah, or just like
bros.
random guys,
Gals. Whoever.
Yeah, just folk. All them folk.
Yeah, I like that they've now expanded to give you more options, because before in Original Redemption, like basically to interact with other people, you're like, hello.
Right, like it's literally just a binary option of like I can kill you or I can not kill you.
Would you like to do what I tell you now? And so
Right.
now you can be a little bit less aggressive. which
Yeah,
is nice.
and like contextually, that informs the character when you do see the cutscene bits that Rockstar writes in themselves, where it's like if I play someone who every time I come across a rider on the road, if I rob them, like harass them or whatever, or if if you guys do the thing where you just like ride alongside them and be like, hey, how's it going, buddy? You want to like have a
Nice
fun ride
horse.
together? Exactly.
Yeah.
That's a
later.
very different Arthur in the next cutscene where you see him shaking somebody down for money.
Right.
I also like the idea that maybe the way you're impacting that world can come back to haunt you in good or bad ways, which
Yeah.
seems to be a place they're leaning a little more into as well. And they really have kind of emphasized this world without seams. Everything here we're talking about in broken down, weird mechanical analytic format. I think the idea behind Red Dead 2 is that we're not going to notice as many of the stitches. That's the idea. See how that plays out. I'm pretty excited to see what happens. Because like we said before, Red Dead influenced by cinema, open world design, technology, budget, imagination, the state of the art that we just discussed. What's fun, which is always kind of the acid test. Is it fun? Is it not? And they have now the input from GTA 5, GTA Online's experience, and the original Red Dead all to build on as well. So I don't know who's going to play this game. I'm curious. Yeah,
I might.
Yeah, I might play it.
Maybe.
We just built this show around it, but actually none of us are ever going to. Yeah. We're going to skip ahead a little bit here because I'm terrible at time management. Luck of the Draw, one of our regular segments here on Red Dead Radio, where we answer one non-Red Dead related question per week, one random And we have somebody here in the audience right now, Tom Bach and Olivia. You guys, are you ready with your non-Red Dead related question for us? Okay, do you mind heading to the mic? All right. So Tom and Olivia I caught in line and asked them, I don't know what they're going to ask us here. I just said, please make it embarrassing
Jared,
for
you asked
John
John
and
embarrassing?
Steimer. Yes. So
What the hell, man?
yeah. So what do we got?
It'll be an easy one. First of all, I want to thank you guys for what you do every week. You guys entertain us,
Thank you.
get us thinking about stuff, so thank you very much.
Well, thank you for listening. and
Absolutely,
stuff.
absolutely. So
So
two
fun for all
questions.
you guys,
Olivia,
too.
you want to do yours first?
Here,
If you were stranded on an island and could only play one game for the rest of your life, what game would it be?
Oh boy.
All right.
Do I have internet connection on this
Boy,
island?
Yeah, that's the question.
Can I get updates for this game if they come out?
Yes.
Guild Wars 2.
Guild Wars 2. Wow.
Interesting choice. I like it. Well done.
It's an MMO. It lives forever. I can play with other people, so I won't feel lonely on this island.
I like it.
Yeah.
Can I revive a game that's dead to
Sure.
do this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Asheron's Call. That would be my.
Aww.
I know. Rip in peace.
Is this just a way
are
to get
really
restaurants
warm.
call
Holy
back?
crap.
I will. I know. I told
You're
you.
like, I'm just gonna
I run
do
hot
it.
when I'm hungover. Yeah. No, I would love to play with Asheron's Call. That game has so much content and there's so much to do.
Would you rather, like, if it meant going and living on an island for the rest of your life, would you do it so Asheron's Call could come back?
I will make the sacrifice I must for
All
the
right.
good of the people.
Good plan.
You're like living in this tropical paradise. You're like, oh man.
As
what
long
a
as you can bring
sacrifice.
Rebel, your dog, right?
My dog. Yeah, I'll bring my dog. It'd be good.
John?
You know what? Honestly, like, there's too fucking many that are super good. Part of me wants to say like The Witcher 3, because like I can play that forever. But also like part of me wants to not The Witcher 1. Oh, 3.
He said
3 for sure.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I kind of want to say GTA Online because most of the friends that I play games with online also play that fairly regularly and can just be fucking stupid together.
Yeah.
And like that's how I like to pass time, is just being a fucking idiot.
For me, it's easy. Sid Meier's Pirates, the 1991 port by Rare, published by Ultra Games for the Nintendo Entertainment
Oh
System,
my
which is the
God.
definitive version of the
Woo
game.
woo!
Right.
Look at that
Right.
pitch.
Yeah, love that one.
That was-
What's number 2, guys?
Okay, so this one's kind of silly. So I've never done any kind of cosplay before, but I'm always kind of fascinated by it. Jared, I know you recently did Doc Brown at Kind of Funny Prom, right?
I did.
Yeah.
So my
that
question
was good.
is, have you ever cosplayed? And if so, what did you do it as? And if you haven't, and you could, what would you do?
Okay, we'll
Who
start
would
at
you be?
this. We'll start at this end this time and work our way down here. I was Doc Brown recently. I've been Baymax before.
You did, yeah. It was a really great
which
Baymax,
is a lot
too.
of fun. John?
Do like 4th grade book fairs count? Because I was
Yeah.
definitely Dr. Alan Grant from Jurassic Park that year.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
I think if I had to go for Dream Say, I'd probably say RoboCop, but like mask off RoboCop, so like the full heads and circuits and wires and stuff, and maybe like one of the arms off.
Wow, the arm off, that would be amazing.
Or like Terminator, or the Terminator, like the T-800 at the end of T2, like when he's all messed up by the T-1000, like the arm and the chest and the face and stuff.
So you just
The
want to be
thumb.
ripped apart.
Well, if you're gonna do cosplay, like you gotta make it like exciting.
Is that what
That's finger guns for me. That's just like
I,
prosthetic.
It's like
I
a
was
snap gun.
I was teaching English in Japan, and I walk in, and 2 of my high school kids are waiting one night for a class, and they just got these huge grins on their faces. I'm like, "What are you 2 up to?" And they're like, they put their fingers up, like, "Don't say a word," and they walk this like half wall there, so that it's like 3 foot tall wall. One of them gets on the other side, the other one takes out their cell phone, hits a button, and starts playing da 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 from T2. And the other one just starts to lower their body really slowly.
Good.
And then when they disappear behind the wall, go.
Thumbs up.
And they both just sat down and didn't say a word.
That's
To this
the best.
day, I don't
I'm
know what
very-
that was about.
Because it was awesome and it was a heartfelt moment
It was,
between
it was
friends.
beautiful. I
There
loved
is
it.
few things on this planet I feel more powerful than that thumbs up at the end of that movie.
In
Like,
Metal, if you play Metal Slug 3, I just noticed if you fall into lava in Metal Slug 3, your guy does this when you fall down. I've never seen it. Brittney.
I was the Pink Power Ranger when I was a little girl.
Hell yes.
But one time I had a Link costume, and it was off of a website for Halloween, and I had the sword and shield with me, and I was trucking around downtown Seattle. I had so many people say, "Oh, it's Zelda," and I was like, "Oh."
You were like,
If I could do anything, though, I'd want to do something like, because Warrior is my main class in every RPG I ever play, so I want something with like badass armor and a sword that's way too big for me, and I want to go like kill shit.
Hell yes.
Not really, but like monsters. Yeah, okay, you can get it.
yeah,
Steimer?
monsters are good.
Yeah,
So it wasn't technically cosplay, but it was the best costume I have ever worn because it was for a live action thing that we did for CD Projekt Red. So I borrowed the Yennefer costume one day and wore it, and I was like, how do I fit in this? That girl's really tiny. But I did, and I just like took pictures of it.
You look so good in that. That was awesome.
It's my favorite. She's
I
my
think
favorite.
I've seen those pictures. That was rad. That was a great costume.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love all of these. Hey, our friends at Rockstar and What's Good Games both sent some swag over, so this is for y'all. This is the
that super
Tom?
elusive mug.
Yeah, please, for you and Olivia. But these are some Red Dead stickers and the super elusive Red Dead Redemption 2 mug.
Woo!
Thank What's Good and Rockstar for those. And now it's time for QA. So if you've got questions for the panel about Red Dead or otherwise, go ahead and line up at these nearby mics, and we'll try to get to them in the next 8 minutes here. So
It'll be great.
Ask briefly, please.
Yeah.
We'll start on this side.
Okay, hi.
Hi.
Hello. What's your name?
Cindy.
Hi, Cindy.
I have a question about like quick travel and things like that, because obviously in the first game, if you like shoot and then the quick travel guy just runs away, and you know this world's gonna be bigger than like GT5 potentially. So, how do you feel about like keeping that realistic aspect of I this horse and carriage guy has to stay in town, but if I shoot him away, then my ride's gone.
Goodbye forever.
I love it.
Yeah, there you go.
Like,
I don't even know how much I used fast travel because I just really liked going
Traversing
around the
the
world
world. Yeah.
so much. I was like, come on, horse, let's go. But yeah, since this one's gonna be a lot bigger, I don't know how they're gonna handle it.
I was
but-
very guilty of just using the campfire fast travel system
Oh,
for
yeah.
me. Like,
I
I
think that's
don't
mostly
think
what
I
I
ever
did.
took the stagecoach anywhere.
No.
I would always just, even if I was in a town and had to get across the map, I would just ride out of town and set up a campfire. I have no idea how it's going to work out in 2. I would love to see that kind of realism stay where, like, if you do start a fight or get in a gunfight, like, or even if you just, like, talk to him wrong, like, they'll just
Bye.
refuse to give you a
What
ride.
if they just made it more expensive? They're like, your price is
no.
going up because
Fuck
you're an
you.
asshole.
$30 instead of 10.
Yeah.
Thank you for your question, and we've got something
Thanks,
for you from
Cindy.
Rockstar as well. So
Woo!
our friend sent this over. So please come on.
We need to get a
come on up and
cannon.
get it. And
Yeah.
we'll go on this side now.
Hi, my name is Quinn.
Hi, Quinn.
Talking about kind of like the cinematic influences that go kind of, and you kind of argue all Rockstar games. My question is like, most Westerns really build on tension, and it's something I don't feel in a lot of games aside from like horror, and that's usually trying to build up to something that gets scary. Do you think, especially with this being a prequel and kind of knowing some of the outcomes, are they really going to focus on that, or if it's something? I didn't really feel that tension in even in Red Dead Redemption, but it seems this one's going very, very cinematic, and especially like their trailers and everything. Is that something you're looking for in a game like this, or?
I think that in an open world, tension's especially difficult because
Yeah.
you can bend the rules. But I think the 3 places I suspect they'll lean in on this, 1 is consequence, which is always a very powerful part of tension. 2 is weirdly lighting. They put a lot of effort into the lighting on this game. Uncanniness, and I'm stealing this from I think Jen Frank, is an essential element of anything scary. Taking something familiar and changing it slightly so that it's frightening, and that can build tension. I think you can do a lot with that in a wild world with lighting. So you have consequence, things being dangerous, things having, you have lighting, and then third, music, environmentally controlled music in particular. I don't think we can expect a full horror experience here, but I do think we'll see it there. Thoughts, guys?
Yeah, the only tension I really want from this game is if I'm going to try to kill a bear with a knife, or if I can piss someone off to the point where they might not like me, because I try really hard to please everyone in video games, and so knowing that there might not be a necessarily right decision to make, and knowing you're gonna have to live with those consequences, I think that's what I want.
Thank you. And again, from Rockstar, little, they sent over a T-shirt for
Woo!
guests. So
Oh, I like that design. That's a good one.
Yeah. Cool.
we're down to the last T-shirt here.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Sorry, friend.
Hi, who are you?
My name is Kristen.
Hi, Kristen.
Horse-related question for
Oh,
you guys.
yeah.
Hell yeah. This is now
So-
Horsecast 2018.
Yes. So in the video, it looked like there were different breeds of horses. Will there be different breeds of horses that you can purchase and ride? And if so, will they have varying stats such as strength, speed, and endurance?
I'm glad you asked this, because we made this game.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, John, you actually talked to Horse Team, didn't you?
We did. We talked to the
talked
guys
to
that
the
made
horse
said horses.
team.
But I mean, also, if we
I wanna
looked
be
at
on a horse team.
the special edition, collector's edition, whatever, bonus order things, like there are a couple of different horse breeds listed within that itself. So like, you know, you can definitely buy different breeds of horses in the sense of like you can get a basic like stallion for like a farm horse. You can buy like a work horse. You can
Like a
buy a war
Clydesdale.
horse. You can get a Clydesdale. We've seen Clydesdales. I don't know if you
Yeah.
even own Clydesdales. I
I
hope you
think
can.
they looked more like they were just part of your camp. Like they'll be like a worker horse in your
Yeah.
camp versus like something you're riding in the
We
world.
should
Yeah.
have to breed horses.
Make weird
Make
combos.
weird, yeah.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Wouldn't that be great?
I was like Viva
That'd be
Pinata,
great.
but with
If I could just
horses?
completely forsake the life of the outlaw and just become a horse
Horse
rancher,
rancher.
that'd be awesome.
If I beat my horse with a shovel, does it pop open and give me candy?
No.
This isn't Fortnite.
It dies.
Oh no, I had a
Um,
few incidences of that.
I don't know
in
how
this
horses
game.
work.
It wasn't a shovel.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
got shot in the head.
No.
They ran in front of the bullet. I don't know what they were expecting.
I mean, look,
This
my horse
happened
ran
in
in front
Red
of a
Dead.
train, so it's like.
Yeah, you're like, I don't know why you just did that.
Some
I
of the
parked you
funniest
back
giving.
there.
That AI.
Yeah, that horse AI though.
So that's the best we got for you.
Yeah, there are different breeds of horse, and they do have their own different like abilities and sort of stat
Different
buffs.
staminas.
Okay.
I will promise you this though.
So
The
yes.
next time I talk to Rockstar, I'll ask them the same question and try to get it out for you on the show.
Okay.
I do think it'd be fun to ride a Clydesdale around.
It's literally like we
Slow,
know it for a
but-
fact.
Yeah,
there
we know
are
all
these
that.
things.
Right, but I want to know the details. I want
Okay,
more. I want more granular details.
Dig in deep.
All right, real quick here. Last question.
Hello.
Hello. So I spent way too much time gambling in the first Red Dead.
Me too.
Oh,
Yeah.
dear.
Liar's Dice specifically. Do you guys have any idea where they're going to go with that? Are they going to ramp it up, build out new games? What do you think?
No, we're purely speculating on this. I
Yeah.
have no inside info. I think we'll see everything we saw before, especially Liar's Dice and Hold'em. Probably some more online around that. I want baseball leagues. I'm probably not going to get them, but I want them so badly.
That would be great. To
Every
see.
town
just,
has their
if
own-
not just to make you happy.
Yeah, it'd be great. I can see them going full in on that.
Were there slot machines back then?
I don't know anything about the history of slots. I don't know.
either.
Maybe I don't know.
Oh, that'd be
I don't
fun.
know.
I don't really do gambling.
I don't.
games.
I don't do the mini games for the most part. I think I did whatever I needed to do to 100% the game, but like other than that,
Yeah, we know
didn't
you'll.
plan on it, and next thing you know, I
Yeah.
found myself.
I mean,
that's
in
how I
was with-
Liar's Dice.
just like real gambling.
That's why I was with Gwent in The Witcher, where it's just like, oh, there's weird little CCG in this game. That's fine. And then every town I go to, like, who's your Gwent champion?
I really do want a fully integrated series of baseball leagues. Every
Yeah.
town has its own distinct field. There are teams in every town because historically, baseball had been established as a professional sport in America for decades by this point, by 1899. And so I love the idea that you could go to every town, play, gamble on the games, influence the games with missions, like
would
get
be
in there and
amazing,
screw
yeah.
things up. And it's never going to happen, but I want an alternate ending where I play enough baseball that Arthur goes out east and plays in the World Series.
He just becomes Babe Ruth.
Yeah.
I don't
That
think we'll
would
see
be
anything.
Amazing.
Sorry.
No, I was just laughing at that concept.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll see any I don't know if we'll get like huge revisions to any of the gambling stuff. We know that we saw in the last gameplay video that there's Hold'em in it. I think it's safe to bet that they'll probably expand a little bit on it. I personally will forever want riverboats with casinos on them. I want
that'd be
my
sweet.
Maverick moment.
Yeah, that's going to be great.
I desperately want to get on a casino boat, and then when I lose, because I will, 'cause I'm fucking terrible at poker, just burn it down and sink the boat.
everything. Yeah,
sink
I
the
want
boat.
to sink the boat
But
because
you're on the boat.
I can swim now.
Oh, we got to cut it here because we are at end of time. I don't have a Rockstar thing to give you, but if you'd like the Sheraton pad.
Oh,
man.
Very limited edition.
Here, no, I got you.
Oh no, that pen belongs to.
No, I'm not giving him the pen.
Oh, okay, there we
He's
are.
like, no, that's my
Friends,
pen.
thank
Here, I'll
you
get
for
you
coming
this.
here. Thank you for giving an hour of your life
There it
to
is.
this marvelous stupidity. Ladies from What's Good Games, thank you for giving an hour of your life, especially this post-drunk.
We had our community
mean-
meetup party last night. It was a great
I'm
time.
fine. I don't know.
Thank you for that. John, as
I'm not
always,
over
I don't know why you come on here every week, but I'm so glad you do.
I don't know why you keep inviting me back. I'm a terrible guest.
Yeah, we will not be able to hang out in the hall after the show because then it's to clear out. But if you go out to the lobby across over by the windows, if you want to say hi to folks, I'll be heading over there as soon as I get my laptop packed up, and I'll meet you out there. Thank you for this. Thank you, panel.
Thank you.
you.
You put together a
No, but
wonderful
seriously,
presentation.
applaud this man most of all.
Yes.
And thank you guys. Applaud yourselves, but also applaud this man.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.